Is the Bankster DFS NFL Live Before Lock Week 6. It is the hockey edition. We'll call it the hockey edition. Doug Shane here at Bankster17 and big number 55, Sean Goodwin, who I think is having connection issues. So we're going to log him out again here and there. Big Gutta. Gutta is in Cabo right now for his bachelor party. I might be drunk on a beach. I don't know what's going on. So I'm going to be writing semi-solo here with Sean bouncing in and out once his internet connection's up and running. But hey, it's the Bankster DFS Live Before Lock. This is what we do. We are very laid back. We're kind of chill. And we're going to do the same thing we do every single week anyway. We're going to come in and we're going to give you the plays for cash games, GPPs. We're going to look at inactives. We're going to do everything that we need to do to get you ready. Because I'm writing semi-solo today, you're very important to me. So get yourself into the chat box. Let us know what's going on. Any chats, any questions that you guys have. I am here to answer whatever it is you guys want to ask us. And if you are new to Bankster, banksterdfs.com, $3.99 a week, get you access to everything that we do, all the content, all the sports, everything covered up. Daily player pool, Slack chat. We have live streams multiple times a week for members only. We have the articles from FSWA award winners like myself and Jeff Kaminsky and a team of wonderful people and just the best membership in the world. Like, I just love all the people who are part of Team Bankster. Our Slack chat's amazing. We've all become friends. We have a ton of fun. We've got people who've been there since day one, like Rich and Matt and Betty, and just a ton of friends who've been with us forever, and it's great to have them as part of the team. And hopefully you can become a part of the team too. Banksterdfs.com, $3.99 per week, get you access to everything that we do. Also, don't forget to head on over to prizepicks.com. Use the promo code Bankster, and you get a 100% first-time deposit bonus up to 100 smackaroonies. Prize Picks team today. Basically, it is prop betting, player props, and you're just looking over-unders. You're going to build a card. You don't need to hit them all to win, and you get big money. Like we hit last night on hockey, hit 404, 5 times my money on 404 on hockey last night. It was good times, and let's hope we can get there with NFL today. Shawnee, I think we got you here.
I have no idea. Hopefully.
I hear you, so that's wonderful.
The internet.
Today. How is it up in the Great White North? Oh, I ask you as you take your coffee sip. The timing is amazing between us.
I had to adjust the tower outside the igloo here. I think it was there's a little bit too much snow built up on it.
And for those who are new to the show and are used to seeing Gutta, Sean is, first of all, he does a weekly article called The Dirty Slot for us, where he looks at slot wide receivers and favorable matchups for slot wide receivers, but he is also our NHL guru. You can see his work, 5-6 days a week. He puts articles out for our NHL. If I keep seeing me look up, it's because I'm watching the horrendous game in London, and I can't not watch that game because it's like a train wreck. Sean does about 5 days a week of articles, but he's always in the Slack talking puck, and he pops on pretty regularly with our members-only live streams. And while we do a little bit of football talk there, he and I really focus on hockey. And, geez, the opening night, was it opening night or the second night, Sean, that you popped for $1,400 based on some of the things we talked about on the live stream?
I was opening night.
Nice opening. Yeah, we've been kind of rolling with things. Hockey's been going. We're about to really zoom with hockey.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm excited to get off. Yeah, love the hockey for sure.
Love it as well. But today we're here for football, and as always, we pull up the cash pool. If you have questions, folks, please make sure you're putting questions in the chat box because your questions are what's most important. Otherwise, it's just me and Shawnee rambling about whatever the heck we want to ramble about. And with me, anyone who knows me knows that's a problem because I like to just ramble on and on and on. But in front of us right now, what we see here, and I'm just sorry because I'm running semi-solo. It's semi-solo. I'm throwing up I'm tweeting out all the, hey, we're live things. And so here we go. All right, Shawnee, what we have in front of us here, as we're waiting for some questions to come into the chat, let's talk about our cash games this week. Before we even get into the cash games, I had sort of an emotional meltdown about cash after last week. Let me talk about, we talked about this a little bit on the live stream, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit now as well. And maybe you can throw your thoughts at me here. So last week with with cash, there were 2 quarterbacks that were at 30% or above. There was Trey Lance, there was Daniel Jones. We had Daniel Jones, he got injured. Whatever, that thing happens, right? We had the 3 most rostered running backs with Derrick Henry, Leonard Fournette, and whoever the third guy was. We had all three of them. We had the three top rostered running backs, and the guy we were deciding on, Damian Williams, was the fourth highest rostered running back. We had two of the three highest rostered receivers in Laviska Shenault and Devonte Adams. We had the highest rostered tight end in Ricky Seals-Jones. The second highest was Evan Ingram. They both scored 9 points, so it didn't matter. We had the highest roster defense in the Washington football team. The only place where we did not have the highest rostered player was our wide receiver 3, where we had Keenan Allen, who was the sixth most rostered wide receiver, and CeeDee Lamb was the third most. So that's where things were a little bit different for us. And we missed cash. And, you could say it's Daniel Jones' injury that cost us, because that lost us about 10 points. If you add Glennon's points, it would have been 10 more points. We may have cashed, but you had to be perfect last week. And the whole point of cash is not having to be perfect. The whole point of cash is there's some wiggle room. You don't have to have widely rostered players. Alexander Madison was the third running back, by the way. And you had Derrick Henry was over 80%. Madison was 80%. Devonte Adams was like 70%. Laviska Shenault was 40%. Our lowest rostered player was Keenan Allen at like 15%. The next lowest was a guy that was 30%. Your highest rostered player should be 30%. So if everyone's running the exact same teams, there's no edge in cash. And so I'm trying to decide, is this an anomaly? Was it a 1, 2, 3 week thing? Because we've sort of had that problem the last couple of weeks. Or is there just no edge in cash anymore? What are you seeing with that, Sean? Are you seeing anything? Is there anything to this thought?
Is it a one-off? Like, is it like, what are we looking at, right? Like, what maybe last week it was just so obvious where the plays
really
were. Like it was even the casual guy who doesn't subscribe to anybody and who sits down on his Sunday morning with his coffee and his Apple Jacks, and let me try this cash here. Let's try some cash. Well, I know Derrick Henry. Oh, Devonte Adams, he's pretty good. And you build up from there. I mean, now, if you get into a second week and it happens again, this, then because like you said, the entire premise behind cash is you could blow on, like, a guy could miss. You could miss a guy could get you 0 points, and you can still cash.
Yeah.
If you're going through the process for cash, and it's like a GPP process where you're trying to build a winner.
Got to be perfect, right? Yeah. And that's the thought, right? The thought is, if I have to be perfect, if I'm looking at a true 1v1 and I need that one guy to cash in a cash game to double my money, well, that's min cashing a tournament, right? Like, if I need to be perfect, shouldn't I shoot for the big money of a tournament? Shouldn't I be trying to make tournament lineups from trying to be perfect? And you're right. The one thing you said that really stood out to me is, was it a 1 week thing or was it not? If it happens this week, we're in trouble. I'm telling you right now, this week I'm playing far lighter in cash, though I've increased my cash exposure over the last 24 hours from where I was. I've done 50% more than what I'd intended to do, which is still 50% less than my normal play. So I'm playing 50% less. I was going to play like 70% less. But I think that this week there are some fairly obvious plays, but I do think there's some wiggle room. And I don't know if we're going to see, outside of one guy, maybe two guys, anyone over 50%. But really, I want guys at 30%. Like 30% means you've got the wiggle room. And I don't know where we're going to be. So now,
I can't hear you, Dougie.
how about now? Now you can hear me. Yes? You got me?
Got your back, yep.
You're using the professional microphone, and it's just not working. So the point I was making is, this is one of the most condensed cash pools I've ever had. Sorry, folks. We're just trying to work through these tech issues here with my microphone. And so we've got, can you hear me now, Matt? And the Big Matt's Big Matt's sitting in the chat box. He's like, hey, man, can't hear you. That's probably a blessing. There's probably weeks Gutta cheers when you can't hear me. So And Matt's telling us, look, it is tougher to cash, right? He's finding it's tougher to cash. And, his contracts were closer to cashing than on the over 10, which is crazy, right? The higher the entry, it should be harder to cash because in theory, better players are playing the higher entries. Now we're playing the low. We like to play the low entries, head-to-heads. Head-to-heads were okay last week. I was actually about 50-50 on head-to-heads last week, but even then we still had to be perfect. And so this week I've really condensed my cash pool because I don't think we want to get too crazy. And if we can get most of our guys at 30% or less, I think we've got a shot here. So looking at the cash pool here, my quarterbacks, I've limited it to 2 because there are 2 names that I keep hearing. And I think there's only going to be 2 guys at these 2 different price points that are going to be the obvious place to go out. It's going to be Lamar Jackson because you got the high rushing floor. You've got a great game here. He's priced really well at $7,400. In the game with what should have the highest scoring potential on the slate, he's been passing a lot more. That passing volume, more than 30 in 4 or 5 games this year, 7 or more rushing attempts in every game. He just gives you a really safe floor, and he's not 8K. He should be 8K, 7,400. And so Jackson is up at that top end, and at the bottom end, you've got Taylor Heinicke going up against a pretty bad Kansas City defense at home. Heinicke does have a little bit of that fearlessness in him. He's run for 5 or more attempts each of the last 3 weeks. He's not afraid to put his head down and go. He had over 23 points 3 of the last 4 weeks. He should have enough volume in this game, right? You expect Kansas City to take a lead, and so there should be enough there for Heinicke to get going and to get up to that 20-point number. I don't think he has the upside of Lamar Jackson, but really, if you're spending up, it's Jackson. If you're spending down, for me, it's Heinicke. I do think they'll have fairly similar roster percentages. Lamar Jackson may have a little bit more if people are willing to spend down elsewhere, and you can spend down in a lot of places today, particularly at running back. Do you have any other quarterbacks in there, Sean, or are you running one of these 2 guys for your cash lineup today?
No, I like that, actually. I was kind of surprised when I saw Heinicke with the rushing. I hadn't realized that. I mean, the last 3 weeks he's rushed it, like you said, at least 5 times, right? So he's not afraid to put it down and go with it, which is good. I mean, Kansas City's defense is just horrific. Like they're like,
yes,
like you said. I mean, Kansas and Washington's pass defenses were like, I mean, you have literally everything in play. Like it's a perfect storm here of passing goodness. I guess we'll find out. What's the latest on Terry and the boys there? Is he going to go?
They're supposed to? All the guys the player are supposed to play. McLaurin, Gibson. The only one who's not playing is Curtis Samuel, but you got Adam Humphries who's playing, and he's actually been really good. So
he's got all right.
Yeah, he should have his full complement of weapons. I do think that opens things up for J.D. McKissick, but in terms of will Heinicke have his weapons, he will.
Perfect. Yeah. So that's I mean, Lamar's a cheat code. I mean,
yeah.
But
is it worth the $1,600 difference? And it's not just the $1,600. It's what else are we going to have to do in our lineup, right? So, this leads in. I know we like to go in order of positions, but Matt asked a great question: Adams or not to Adams in cash, which is great because he definitely read my article because that was one of the main decision points we made was to, do we use Devonte Adams or do we not use Devonte Adams this weekend? And really, is it Adams or Kelsey or Adams and Eckler? Can we make it all fit? And that's a great question. Well, if you're going to go with Lamar Jackson, I don't think you can go with them. In order to go from, you need to find a guy in the $7,400 range at wide receiver because you're talking a $1,600 difference between Lamar Jackson and Taylor Heinicke. And so now we've gone from Devonte Adams down to DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, Chase Lamb, Keenan Allen. I suppose if you could find a few $100, you can move up to cut, but then you'd have to cut somewhere else. It's never just a 1v1. I do think, and we're sort of spoiling things a little bit here as we go through because I love to give my cash line as we get through it. I do think this is a week that we can do Devonte Adams, and I do think the key to getting there is running Taylor Heinicke out there. I think Heinicke plus Adams is going to score more points than Lamar Jackson and whoever else we put in there. And it's not that they're going to score more points. I think they're safer to get to their floor than the receiver we're putting in for Adams. Plus, Adams has a far higher ceiling. So I've got Adams in my cash lineup on both Fanduel and DraftKings, and I don't think he's going to be 70% like he was last week. I don't think he's going to be close. I don't think he's going to be shocked at all. I actually think we're going mildly contrarian with Devonte Adams this week. And by contrarian, maybe 20%, but for Adams, that's pretty contrarian. Before we get to running back, Sean, because we kind of want to double back to it, are you using Devonte Adams in cash this week? Were you able to get there, or are you going a different route?
I'm personally, well, I mean, you just made now you got me thinking. That's I like. I was not. I mean, $9,000. I was sort of not thinking that way.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough,
yeah.
Especially when you got McLaurin at 73 or 71, who's viable.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, when you scroll down there, I mean, Cooper Kupp 79, right? I mean, he's a little high, but I mean, DJ Moore.
You say you got to cut somewhere to get Cooper Kupp involved because he's going to be a little more expensive. We're just doing, a 2v2. You're going to have to move someone else in order to get to Kupp. So that's it.
Way too cheap. Allen should be at least $7,000, so we get a discount there, which I like.
Especially with Big Mike Williams being injured, Allen could be in good shape, except as we will get to the running backs. I've got Austin Eckler in my cash lineup, so I'm not running Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler in the same cash lineup. That to me was a decision I had to make.
It's either or on that one for sure. Yeah, Baltimore's defense isn't. I mean, let's face it, Baltimore's actually gotten pretty lucky. 66-yard field goal to win against Detroit. And then, not last week. I mean, they should have lost last week, but they came back. And anyways, Baltimore's defense isn't good. That's for sure. Yeah, Allen. I mean, yeah. I mean, you can. I mean, let's face it. It's never a bad idea to play Devonte Adams. I mean, it's
nope.
Like,
well, looking at the other options here, though, DJ Moore's got a decent matchup against Minnesota, right? Last week threw me for a loop a little bit with him, but Darius Slay had him covered, and that was a weird game. It was a really weird game last week. So I think DJ Moore's fine, but is DJ Moore and Lamar Jackson safer than Devonte Adams and Taylor Heineke? I'm not sure. I worry about McLaurin only because if there's any re-injury, he has the Q next to him. Chase has been great, but to me, he's definitely more of a GPP guy. He's been getting a lot of his production from bombs. Like his average, in the games that he's done really well, he's generally had long receptions. He's been great, but these kinds of guys to me are more tournament plays. He's kind of what we thought Keith Brown would be when he came into the league. Keenan Allen, we talked about. CeeDee Lamb's got a really tough matchup. Cortland Sutton doesn't get the volume, and the game's got like a 40-point total. Like, I just don't want to run that. I love Robert Woods this week. I think, he's definitely still in the cash conversation. I don't think he's going to necessarily get 14 targets again, but if he gets 8 or 9 targets at $6,000, good. But we're probably Daryl Henderson's going to be the most widely rostered running back this week, so you're not going to stack in cash there. So then we start moving down into other areas. Marquise Brown is fine, but now you're talking $1,500 difference. So we can maybe spend up somewhere else, and so that moves some more pieces, which is fine to do. If we're going to use Marquise Brown instead of Devonte Adams, I love Marquise Brown this week. He's just been a beast since the middle of last year. But so, let's talk about where we're at for running back, and then we're going to continue to address this, though, Matt. And if anyone else has questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. We're more than happy to talk about your lineups and your concerns. Running back to me is pretty simple. I think the most rostered running back this week, and we're going to bounce around a little bit in price, is going to be Daryl Henderson going up against a really bad Giants rush defense. He's only $6,000. He gets the majority of the snaps, even when Sony Michel's healthy. He gets the majority of the work. He hasn't had a monster game. Not a game that's going to hurt you. These numbers, 16, 17, 15, they're going to get you there in cash. They're all fine for cash. So I think Daryl Henderson's he's going to be the most widely rostered player, one of the two this week. And so I think you've got to get him in the lineup if you're going to chase that chalk there. We've got to remember, he's had 76% of the snaps for the Rams at the running back position this year, and he missed an entire game. That's with an entire game not there. Guy just is a beast. Kareem Hunt should be popular, but and Sean, maybe you can speak to this being the Browns fan. He's a touchdown machine. I love him in tournaments, and he's actually getting quite a few hits. And Nick Chubb's going to be out, and you can run on Arizona, except what's been shown is in the 4 games that Kareem Hunt has played without Nick Chubb, his reception total doesn't go up. He gets a few more carries, but his overall production has not been vastly improved when Nick Chubb doesn't play. He's not that much better of a player. I just think you'll see a little more Dearness Johnson. And I'm not sure how much more of a floor we're going to get out of Kareem Hunt. I think there's a little bit more of a ceiling. But I'm not sure if and that floor is going to gain really through that passing work. And he's not going to get more passing work. He's already getting all the passing work. Sean, as a Browns fan, what can you tell me about the usage of Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb? Am I way off base here, or is Nick Chubb far more tournament play than a cash play this week? Not Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. Is he far more of a tournament play than a cash play this week?
I wouldn't touch Hunt and cash. I wouldn't go there. And a GPP.
What'd you about him?
Well, Chubb and Hunt, so Cleveland's figured it out. I mean, they complement each other, right? So Hunt usually sees the field after Chubb's been just abusing the defense, right? So he's sort of the change of, like, Chubb's the power guy and Hunt's the sort of change of pace guy, right? So he'll come in on passing situations and stuff. Now Hunt is the the main guy, the lead guy. Can he get it done? Absolutely. I kind of like the change of pace that. Now, you mentioned D'Ernest Johnson. The other one I'm going to throw out there is Felton. So what if Demetric Felton takes over the Kareem Hunt role in the Chubb
and catches the passes?
He's going to be the guy. So what happens if Arizona gets up? Yeah, Hunt can't play 100% of the snaps. And Felton has already shown that he can catch the passes. And Cleveland has schemed for this kid, right? Not but enough. Like, he's shown some glimpses there. He's had some. Right?
Absolutely.
So I would go Hunt in cash, especially at $6,200. I just think there's just too much. I just think Chubb and Hunt, I think, are sort of a package. Like, you could literally you could use them together in GPP sometimes. They don't, like, you would think two running backs from the same team would cabbage, but they're so polar opposite.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Henderson at 6,000 is gonna even Hubbard's gonna be. I mean, I don't know Hubbard in cash, of course, but I mean, I just not for $6,200 can I go?
Well, the thing, it's really interesting that you brought up Chuba Hubbard. He's not in my pool, but I want to talk about him for a second. McCaffrey's out. He's on IR. Chuba did have 6 targets last week, and he had 5 targets when McCaffrey got injured. Now, he had a week right there when he only had 2 against Dallas. And they had a guy named Rodney Smith who was getting all the receptions. Rodney Smith was cut from the team now. Chuba should be the guy getting all the work. 20 or so, 18 to 20 carries, 4 to 5 targets. Hubbard could be in a really good spot. I think the fact that they didn't use him in that one game scares me a little bit, though they went back to him last week. It scares me more for cash, but I think there's not nearly enough talk on Chuba Hubbard in tournaments. I think he's going to be 5% or less, and no one's going to be on him, and he has the potential. If he scores a touchdown, I mean, the volume gets him there. He's been doing fine with volume. It's a touchdown that he needs in order to get to that next level. Touchdown last week puts him at a really nice score. A touchdown each of the last 2 weeks would have given him a score that would have, given you 3x his number, and that's what we're looking for. So I do think there's Chuba's a good name to have brought up, Sean. I like that. It's a good pull, Shawnee. My guy this week.
Make sure somebody's writing all these names down so we can build the lineup after the stream and then see how it does, because it always seems to be come back after and go, geez, we talked to them on the stream and look at them go.
It's never the big names though, like even a Chuba guy, but a Demetric Felton is a guy that we're gonna throw in there in passing. And when he has 4 catches for 50 yards and a touchdown, and he's sitting there at 15 points, we're like, wow, who would have thought of him?
Right?
Sean Good would have thought of him. Mm-hmm. We definitely had him. My spend up this week at running back is definitely going to be Austin Eckler. The passing work is there, 5 or more targets each of the last 4 games. The rushing work is there enough, a dozen to 15 carries. Definite touchdown upside. He's had a receiving touchdown each of the last 3 weeks, a rushing touchdown 3 of the 5 weeks this year. He's put up 22 or more fantasy points each of the last 4 weeks. McCaffrey's on IR. Dalvin Cook, tournament only, because you're just not playing him. Jones, you never play in cash. Nick Chubb is out. Ezekiel Elliott is a little bit banged up, going to New England. Definitely not a cash play. The next highest guy is going to be Jonathan Taylor, who I love, but he does not get nearly enough work in the just in terms of total snaps in order to be considered a safe cash play. As much as I love him, I've got a ton of Taylor in tournaments. Running him, Mo Alley Cox, and Brandon Cooks as a mini stack, I absolutely love as a run back stack. or a secondary stack, I mean, but you can't play it in cash. So where are you going to spend your money? Well, you're going to spend it. You're going to spend it on Keenan Allen, or not Keenan Allen, on Austin Eckler. See, I've got Keenan Allen on the brain when I talk Chargers. Would I use? Chris wants to know. Chris, thanks for joining the stream. Really nice to have you here. Would you use Demetric Felton as a GPP dart as a one-off? Like, you're not going to have Demetric Felton in 40% of your lineups, but if you're running 10 lineups, is it wrong to throw Felton in there one time?
Nope.
No, I don't think so either.
I think
especially
shot for sure. But like you said,
but
don't go overweight. Be mid, like if you like Doug says, if you have 10 lineups, don't throw them in 5.
One lineup of Demetric Felton puts you overweight on the field by 5 times. If he's 2%, that's a lie. 5 times the field on that, even with one lineup with Felton out of 10. Think about it in those perspectives. You are 5 times the field on Felton. If he does anything, even in that one lineup, you're ahead of the field on that. You're in great shape if the rest of your lineup does anything else. And I do like that specifically because one of the things we're looking at is we need to have something in the late window. We need something. Somehow Dallas, New England has a 49-point total. I don't know if that line's moved much, but it opened at 49 points. I don't know where those points are coming. I think that game goes under. I think that's a really easy under. I just don't see where the high upside comes there. Vegas and Denver we're definitely not going to be using for tournaments. I do think there's some upside to Josh Jacobs, and we'll talk about him. Well, I'll pull him up right now because I do think he's mine. I've pulled him sort of from my cash consideration, but for a while I had him in the cash pool until Kareem Hunt opened up as a potential cash play because Jacobs has been getting all the work the last 2 weeks. And 15 carries, 5 targets in each game. He's got red zone equity. He's the guy. We just don't know what the Raiders are going to do post group. I would think they're going to keep using Jacobs, but I assume they'll also get more work out of their big free agent offseason acquisition, Kenyon Drake. But I do think there's some tournament upside here. You run like Sutton and Jacobs as a mini stack. But where are we going to get our late game hammer? Where are we going to get that late game? Exactly, Chris. Yes. So where are we going to get that late game hammer for us? Well, it should be this Arizona-Cleveland game. It's going to be popular. So how do we offset the popularity? Kareem Hunt's going to be ridiculously rostered. So maybe you pair Kareem Hunt with DeAndre Hopkins or Rondale Moore, who's really, I think both those guys will go under-owned, particularly Hopkins. I just don't think people are on him. But a way that you can really save some money and make it work is you run Felton Hopkins, or you go, whatever it is. I mean, to me, that's the way I would do it. If you're going to look for that secondary mini stack. Sorry, I'm stumbling on my words here. You can do a secondary mini stack. You run Felton Hopkins, again, 1 out of 10 lineups, even 1 out of 20 lineups, you're still going to be 2.5% above, 2 times the field on Demetric Felton roster percentage. And that's how you get some late game love down here. And it gives you some late swap potential as well. You need to get off, maybe you find that, I don't know, Hopkins is going to be widely rostered. So you're going to do, maybe you late swap off of it and you're going to go to Beckham and whoever. But at least you've got some potential here running there. Matt wants to know if we're running JT and Cooks. Yep. It's probably one of my 3 or 4 favorite mini stacks. I've got a lot of JT Cooks, and I actually have Mo Alley Cox in there as well for a lot of the time. Houston's terrible against tight ends. So in tournaments, I'm running JT Cooks sometimes with Mo Alley Cox. I mean, those are the guys I'm looking at in that game. I'm not really buying into the Indianapolis wide receivers. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. Yeah. Love Jonathan Taylor in tournaments. The other names we're looking at in cash, I can't spell Daryl for some reason. Devonte Booker is probably not going to be widely rostered as I initially thought because some, Khalil Herbert has opened up some value, as has Daryl Williams with CEH and David Montgomery not being available. Booker's still okay at $5,400. I think he's a little bit cheaper on draft FanDuel, so maybe he's useful there. Daryl Williams should carry a fairly high percentage. I don't love him. I just think they're going to try to use too much McKinnon and Hardman, and I don't see it with Williams. He's fine, but I think Herbert is going to be in for a lot more work. He got a ton of work last week. See, that's what people don't realize is last week Khalil Herbert ended up getting let's push up here. You pull up Khalil Herbert. Khalil Herbert last week ended up getting more carries than Damian Williams. Damian Williams had 16 carries. Khalil Herbert had 18. He had no catches, and I do think Craig Nall's going to get some of the reception work out of the backfield, but Herbert's got to get a couple of passes thrown his way. And then, the Bears love to run the ball inside the 5, so I think he's got touchdown equity there as well. And at $4,600, he doesn't, he needs 13.5, 14 points to get you there. And he's super cheap. So I've got him in my cash lineup as well, which is one of those punts I can use me get to Devonte Adams that, Matt was asking about earlier. Can we do Devonte Adams? Well, this is one of the ways we can get there. Sean, is there anyone else I'm missing at running back? I know I've been rambling for a little bit. Is there anyone else I've been missing at running back that you think is worth taking a look at in cash games this week, outside of the guys I have on the screen?
No, I think that's as every week, it's like, are you spending up at a running back? Or are you spending up at receiver? Right. I think this is the week. I think this is sort of a week leaning towards spending up a receiver. Khalil Herbert. All I see is Matt.
It's ugly.
All I see is
ugly.
And it's just. But like you said, if Chicago's not going to, if they're going to keep fields restricted and they're going to run and short passes and stuff, if Herbert can catch 2 or 3 balls, then absolutely. I might probably. If I was in that price range to make it, I would probably go Williams just because I trust Williams and Andy Reid in Kansas City in that situation more than I trust Matt Nagy and Khalil Herbert anywhere ever at all. Right. So if Kansas City gets up, they're going to run it. You're going to get Williams there for $300 more. If I was at that point, I would just try to find that $300, check the couch cushions, get to Williams if you can if whatever you need to. Just find it. Find the $300. For the love of God.
I hear you there.
$300.
I see it. I get that. What about on the other side of the field? I was kind of thinking about at a similar price point is Jerick McKinnon. With Gibson being a little banged up, this game expected to be fairly high scoring. McKissick. No, I don't want to say McKinnon. McKissick has got 4 targets in 3 of the last 4 games. He's got upside if he gets in the end zone. What's that?
McKinnon, McKissick, same player, basically.
Sure. I think McKissick will have a little more work. I would like to hope. I've got a lot more McKissick in tournaments than I do. I don't have it all in cash, but I don't really love him for a cash pool. But I just did mention him because I do think he's got some serious upside in this game, especially with Gibson banged up, McLaurin a little banged up. I think McKissick's a guy that we're overlooking a little bit.
If this game sort of maybe gets out of hand, does Rod take Gibson out to, he's like, all right, this game's done. Let's get him off the field and protect him. And then it's going to be McKissick all day long. I love McKissick. I think there's some serious upside in McKissick today. And
especially with Curtis Samuel out, I think that helps McKissick a lot.
100%, absolutely. McKissick and Samuel, same thing. Very interchangeable. They catch the little slot. Does McKissick run out of? Maybe they even use McKissick out of the slot. Remember last week I mentioned Myles Gaskin taking over in the slot. Maybe
he sure did.
So is McKissick this week's Gaskin? And for those last week, this is actually a good thing because Gaskin actually had a good week last week going out of the slot. That's
Gaskin, by the way, who was pulled out of the game today. He fumbled, and I don't think he's seen the field since his fumble. So it's a good 1 week run, Miles.
Yeah. I have him too, and honestly I missed the boat. I got offered a 3rd round pick, and I said no, and I should have just taken the 3rd round pick and called it a day.
You should have jumped on that. Oh, Marvin Jones with the touchdown at the end of the half. Marvin Jones comes down with a nice pass from Trevor Lawrence, sinking the showdown lineups. One of the things we talked about was as we move on to wide receiver, we are going to Devonte Adams this week. I do think I think it's possible, and I actually like Devonte Adams in this case because I just think there's too many questions with some of the other higher end receivers. And boy, 2 of the last 3 weeks, just been an absolute beast. Pittsburgh game still had 11 targets, didn't do much with them, but I don't know, man. I think Rodgers is going to just throw all over the Bears. Green Bay, by the way, too, tournament option. Nobody's talking about Green Bay this week. Aaron Rodgers at under 10%. I think that's where he's going to be. I definitely have a Green Bay tournament stack. I talked about Robert Woods, Marquise Brown, Michael Pittman in cash. I don't think T.Y. Hilton hurts him so much. I think T.Y. Hilton's going to hurt Zach Pascal and Paris Campbell a lot more. And I also think T.Y. Hilton has it anymore, so I'm not really worried. Michael Pittman's been an absolute monster for this team over the last couple of weeks. He's just he hit his receiver up last week in the first quarter. He's had 8 or 7 or more targets, each at 6 receptions each of the last 4 weeks. He's gone over 22 those weeks. Like he is their wide receiver one, and Houston is not good. So we'll go tag not good. And so I do like Pittman, probably more so in a tournament, though I find myself going Taylor and Mo Alley Cox, but he's definitely done volumes there at $5,500 to get to 15, 16 points in cash. I kind of dig it. I'm never not going to be at least considering third and Renfro, though it's a tough matchup against Denver. But if they keep pricing him under $5,000 and he's going to keep getting 6 or more targets, he's had 8 or more, three of the last 5 weeks this year. He's not done much with them, but they're just going to give him the volume to get there. And so I do think that Renfro is in play for cash. I thought Mecole Hardman would be a cash game option if Tyreek Hill was out, but Tyreek Hill should be playing. So I like Hardman more for tournaments. So my other guy for cash as we start to spend down, because Matt had brought up the point about punting, pulling up his comment that we're going to have to make a couple of punts, and we are, in order to get Devonte Adams in there, but I'm okay with that. So we're going to take a look here. Amon-Ra St. Brown has had 8 targets each of the last 2 weeks, put up those 13 points each of those weeks. He needs 13 or so points to get there in cash this week. Cincinnati, not great. Jared Goff, better than we thought. I was on Amon-Ra St. Brown pretty early this week at $4,200. I'm pretty well locked in. I would like him more at $3,800, but he can get there at $4,200. As we continue to move down the list a little bit, there's not a ton of guys that stand out much, but the one guy I mentioned earlier was Adam Humphries. So this is where when Sean was talking about J.D. McKissic, I started to clench a little bit, because I'm using Adam Humphries in cash because he's generally a volume guy. That Atlanta game in week 4, Curtis Samuel played that game. Without Curtis Samuel, forget week 1, but week 2, 3, and 5, he got some volume. He had 8, 4, and 5 targets. He didn't do a ton with them. This is a good matchup though for him. I don't love to stack in cash, but at $3,400 and we need to spend down, Humphries is a guy we can take a look at. I'm more than willing to pivot off him if some value randomly opens up when actives come out in 23 minutes, but I don't think that's coming. So I'm gonna have to eat this one. And this is where Matt, who was concerned, about that punt, this is where that concern really comes in: is are we going to be comfortable running Humphries in cash? It's where when Sean talked about, if you miss on one guy last week, we were kind of screwed, right? And so if we have some wiggle room, if we don't have guys at 80%, but we have guys at 30% across the board, or most, the chalk is 30, not 80, then you can miss on Humphries and still be okay. But if the chalk is 80 and you miss on Humphries, we're kind of screwed. And that's where my concern comes in with cash. It's where monitoring this week is going to come in really handy, because we're going to need to see where, if we have wiggle room and if cash is even a viable strategy anymore. Brandon brought up the Raiders. You think they'd be motivated to play? I agree that I think they'd be motivated, but we don't know that. And that uncertainty makes me skeptical about using them in cash. I have no problem in a GPP. And again, we said we were looking at late game stacks to make, mini stacks. I mean, you can look at the Raiders and Broncos, and if Melvin Gordon is out, Devontae Williams with Renfro or with Waller, because Waller is ridiculously cheap this week at $6,600, and that's a super cheap price. So you run Williams, Waller, or Renfro and Jacob. I mean, there are options there for late, but to me, because we don't know, it's more tournament plays for me. Are there any other wide receivers you're looking at? You are my dirty slot guy, Sean. So I know nobody knows more about the receiving position than you do. Who am I missing?
No, I like St. Brown.
He's a dirty slot, wasn't he, this week?
The dirty slot play of the week. I mean, there's sometimes you just gotta plug your nose and hit the name and move on. And 16 targets the last 2 weeks. Detroit's gonna have to throw it.
Yeah. And
I mean, Mike Hilton's not. I mean, he's not horrific, but he's not good either. I mean, Goff doesn't throw deep. Cephas and Tyrell Williams, I believe, are out.
Yep.
So I expect DeAndre Swift and Mr. St. Brown to get all they can handle.
One of my favorite tournament mini stacks right there. Love them with Jamar Chase. Whoa. Tasty.
Yeah. So one thing I'll say about Jamar Chase is you touched on him earlier. I think you can run Jamar Chase in cash, and here's the reason why. When the Bengals get into the red zone, and we expect them to be in the red zone a lot, Joe Burrow only has eyes for Jamar Chase. He doesn't look anywhere else. He gets in there and he's like, "Where's my boy? Where's Chase?" Which is
He's not looking for T. Higgins?
he looks no. No Jamar Chase. I mean, okay, Higgins is in there, but Jamar Chase is his boy in the end zone. When the red zone, he's looking for his boy, which is actually kind of soured me a little bit on Tyler Boyd. I wrote him up, but Boyd's in the article. When they get the room, he doesn't look Boyd's way at all. So that kind of
Poor Tyler Boyd Goodwin.
Yeah, I know.
He's not had a great season, Tyler Boyd. He has not had a great season.
No, he's not. It's and I know what's going to happen is I'm going to be off. I'm going to be off him, like say today, and we're going to be sitting there at 2:00 going, Jesus, did Boyd just catch his second touchdown and he just clips 100? Like that's how it works, right?
Now, Brandon thinks Boyd has the better matchup. Did you notice that as well?
Boyd has a smash matchup. Smash. Absolutely, he does. It's a huge it's.
But does it matter with the way that Burrow uses Chase, right? Is that really where it is?
Jamar Chase has a smash match. The entire Bengals offense is in a smash matchup. That's the problem, right? I would feel better if Jamar Chase was going up against, say, Jair Alexander or somebody like that, Bradbury, somebody like that outside. But literally, Joe Burrow he's going to be able to sit back and go, well, he's wide open, and well, he's wide open. Well, let me throw it to my boy, right? Like that's like he's defaulted to where's like his first look at Jamar, and the problem is when he looks at Jamar today, Jamar's gonna be open.
Yeah,
not going to have to go to a second or third look against Detroit. No quarterback usually has to go to their second or third look against Detroit because the first look is open by 10 yards. Sorry, I'm getting.
Yeah, I'm with you, man.
He's right.
Was there other receivers? Sorry, I forgot. We're still talking about the slot receivers. Were there slot receivers?
Tyler Boyd is in a smash spot. For me though, Keenan Allen is the obvious play of the week for me this week.
All right.
I'm glad Mike Williams is going to be on the field. I think he might be a decoy. I mean, the Chargers know what's going on there, but Marlon Humphrey will stay outside on Williams, and Keenan Allen should shred the Ravens.
I will tell you, this morning I moved, and this might be a signal that everyone should play Mike Williams though. This morning I moved all my Mike Williams exposure over to Keenan Allen, so you know how that works. Kiss of death right there. If I pivot off someone, they score. But I feel the exact same way about that. I think Keenan Allen, if I wasn't playing Eckler in cash, I'd play Keenan Allen in cash. I want to go back to Boyd for one quick second, and this is just a quick, almost a yes or no kind of a deal. I'm running for tournaments because I know you've got to bolt before I talk about tournaments too much. For tournaments, I'm currently running my Cincinnati stack with Higgins and Chase. Should I be moving my Higgins exposure to Boyd, or am I okay still? Because tournament, I'm looking for that upside.
You're fine. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, when I was researching this, every single one of these receivers is in a plus matchup. It's crazy. Like,
should we be playing more Burrow this week? Are people missing the boat by not playing? Like, should people be playing heavy Cincinnati? My favorite stack of the week, by the way, and I think I texted you and Gutta about early in the week. I think I sent you a picture of my Cincinnati Detroit game stack with Chargers Ravens run back. I said it's my favorite stack of the week, and it hasn't changed. Am I on the right track here? Is this the week is this a good place to look?
The only problem is Cincinnati, like, they play so slow.
They do.
And Detroit also plays so slow, right? It's not a paced up game; it's a paced down game, right?
That's not good.
So I mean, I have Joe Burrow. I have some Joe Burrow on underdog. By the way, if you're not playing underdog, you should absolutely get over there.
Absolutely.
So I have him and Chase as a combo a couple times. I don't know. I don't know what I think's happening is Cincinnati. Like, Mixon's going to get his touches today. I think Cincinnati is still trying to protect Burrow, even though it's clear that he's good to go. I think they're still sort of like, we don't want to lose him again, so they're playing slow. They don't want to get into a track meet. I mean, man, if these get going today, like, this game could just go bananas.
I just think the talent's there on the offensive side. I don't think it's there on the defensive side. I don't know. I love that game.
If doesn't go nuclear today, when is he going to go nuclear? And I mean, like, Herbert, Patrick Mahomes nuclear. Like, I mean, Burrow could easily put up 40. Like, I mean, it could be. It's just that you're so slow.
Then we can only hope. I want to talk tight end real quick before I know you've got to head out in like a minute or two. Tight end this week. To me, there's two plays, and there's really only one play. It's Kelsey. Play Travis Kelce, $7,000. The hell is DraftKings? It's so cheap for Kelsey, especially with the banged up Hardman, a Washington defense that can't cover anyone. Just put him in your lineup. Find a way. Find a way to get Travis Kelce into your lineup at $7,000. It's the best value you're going to see on any player all year long. If for some reason, man, I don't like free money, and you want to spend down on tight end, which is normally our strategy unless there's an obvious spend-up spot, then it's the other side of the football in this game. It's Ricky Seals-Jones running 96% of the routes, is out there for every snap, has seen 13 targets since Logan Thomas got injured. They're looking for him in the end zone. He didn't have touchdowns, but he's had end zone targets each of the last couple of weeks. He does have the touchdown in week 2, so they do. The big body guy, former wide receiver. He's got some down the field moves. He's getting to that age where he's a savvy veteran. To me, and I don't mind Seals-Jones in a tournament. Like, I don't mind running both Kelce and Seals-Jones in tournaments. I rarely double tight end, but Kelsey's not a tight end. He's a wide receiver one. And so $7,000. I mean, look at the wide receivers that are sitting in the $7,000 range. Tell me you'd rather play Kelce or them over Kelce in cash. I mean, I understand you like Jamar Chase, but I mean, I'd rather play him than McLaurin, Lamb, Allen. So, I just think Kelce's in such a great spot. Like, get him in your lineup. Just get him in your damn lineup.
100%. Because especially if he'll, well, not if we know Hill's hobbled. Yeah, he's going to play, but he's dealing with a quad. So what's going to happen there? I mean, if all it takes is one cut, one thing, and then he feels there it goes.
And Hill does that fairly regularly too. He's like Julio Jones in that he will miss chunks of plays throughout the course of a game.
Sure. So what does that leave?
Kelce and Hardman, baby. There you go. Tournament stack right there. Kelce, Hardman, McLaurin, Ricky Seals-Jones, J.D. McKissick. Gosh, I love this game, the secondary stack or the primary stack. Oh, I love it. So,
just talk to me. You know what? I have – look at that. So I built a lineup where I had Chase as flex. So I built a lineup, a stream lineup. And I can actually go from Chase to Kelce.
There you go.
That I think because I'm running Ali Cox as my other tight end. So
in a tournament, you might want to go Chase because Kelce's going to be he'll be the other guy. It's him and Henderson that are going to be the 50% plus guys this week. In a tournament, you might get more leverage running Chase. Honestly.
Well, but if you use Kelce at flex with Mo Ali Cox, say.
I do like me some Mo Ali Cox.
Yeah.
And so if you run that and you're looking at the lineup I have on the screen, that leaves you with the choice of Detroit or Washington for your defense. I'm going to run Detroit, not because I like them, but because, I'm not going to run to Washington against Kansas City. That seems foolish, even though Mahomes has thrown more interceptions this year than he did last year, the same amount. The only issue I have with this lineup at all, first of all, we're stacking in one game where we're doing 2 run back stacks in other games. I've got zero exposure to the late games. If the late games pop, I'm toast. But you know what? You don't get multipliers for playing late games. You play the best players. You play the early plays. You lock in your cash. You call it a day. You just hope that your thing, your players work out the way they need to. This is where I'm at for cash right now. We'll see in the inactives in 12 minutes if anything pops. But for right now, I don't know. Sean's got to head out, taking the boy to play some hockey. Enjoy yourself, Shawnee. I know we'll be back tomorrow live streaming some point tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly what time I go help my dad with something, but I got to do a video for first look for week 7 cash lineup, but we'll do some hockey live stream tomorrow. We're going to look at some advanced stats over on our Facebook page for members only. So if you're a member, just keep an eye out for that message. Sean, thank you so much. I know we'll see you in Slack at some point, and thanks for hopping in and helping out today.
For sure. Good luck, everybody. Cheers.
Later, Sean. Bye. Oh, we got some good hockey coming this week, folks. Shawnee's got some good hockey coming this week. We're going to load it up. All right. It's just me taking you the rest of the way. So anyway, the point I was making is this is my cash lineup, and this is where we're at. And unless things change, I don't see myself making too many moves. I don't see why at this point I'm going to move off of here because it's, I don't know, it fits. It gives me Henderson, Eckler, Adams, and Kelce. I just think those are guys that are they're just above and beyond everyone else in that positions. We're going to get the roster percentage. You're getting one of the two chalky quarterbacks. I like this cash lineup. I'm not going heavy because I am concerned that a lot of people are getting savvy to cash, so I'm going to run a lot more tournaments as a percentage of my buy-ins this week. But I am playing a little more cash because I do like getting Kelsey, Adams, Eckler, Henderson in the same lineup. This is the part of the show too, guys, where if you have questions, I will answer questions the whole time if you want me to. Whatever you guys have, I'll chit chat. Let's see what we got going on here. Double stack Browns, Lions D. Yeah, I know. Well, the Lions D is nothing. They're there because I needed a cheap defense. I have no love for the Lions defense, Matt. I needed a defense, and I wasn't going to run Washington against Kansas City. Ideally, I would have loved to have gotten up to Houston, but if value pops and I can pull off a Humphries, I would love to. And in terms of the stack of Heineke and Humphries, yeah, I don't love doing it. I don't like to stack in cash, but if I do stack, I want it to be with value plays because neither guy has to do much to get there. So that's why I'm not going to be running. That's why I didn't put McLaurin. I thought about using McLaurin in this lineup and playing around instead of Adams, but I didn't want to spend up for McLaurin with my quarterback who's not like a Mahomes. Like, I don't mind stacking Mahomes and Kelsey in cash. I have no problem with that. But like, if you're running value plays, they've got to be both values, or at least the receiver should be a value. And so I'm, now this lineup, I will consider moving some parts around depending upon, again, what the inactives say. But I don't expect anything crazy, short of like, I don't know, Tyreek Hill is out or something like that. That might make me rethink some things. Though it'll just keep pushing me on Kelsey, honestly. I won't change too much. Chris needs to know, and I get you. Any concerns with Swift and the injury? Yeah, lots. That's why I'm not running DeAndre Swift in cash. Otherwise, I would love DeAndre Swift in cash. For this week, I would strongly consider Swift. Swift has just been used so well in the passing game. Cincinnati gives up a lot of yards in the passing game to running backs, and they just get hammered on the ground. And Swift's just there, right? 5 or more targets in every game, 6 or more targets in 4 or 5 games, over 20 points in 3 or 4 games. And I don't buy into the every other week garbage there. I mean, unless it happens all year, but even then it's just random. So, 20, not 20, 20, not 20, 20. So he's in time for 20. And that's not how that works. It's a great matchup. Love him in a GPP. Tons of exposure to Swift in a GPP because I'm trying to win, right? That's the way it is with GPP. You're to win or lose. I don't really care about min cashing a GPP. So I'm going to swing for the fence with that. So for GPPs, what I'm running a lot of is, here, I'll pull it up here. We've got, about 8 minutes until inactives come out when I ignore you to look up inactives. No, I just talk about inactives. Oh, no problem, Chris. No, and I knew it was. I just wanted to address it for anyone who was thinking maybe it was not. I wanted to make sure to have that conversation. I'm running a lot of this in tournaments right now. Swift Brown with Chase and Higgins, especially with Burrow. Like, that's one of my favorite stacks. But even if not St. Brown, I'll run Swift Chase as a 2-person mini stack in that game. I love that. I love the Swift and Chase this week for tournaments. Yeah, it's all or nothing. They're both high upside, so I'm all about that. Matt, will Humphries get the volume? I don't know. Concerns me for sure. I think that's the one player in my cash lineup that I'm concerned about, which is why I get open to, a surprise inactive opening up value somewhere. I'm not sure where that value will be, but Humphries has had volume without Samuels in 3 of the 4 games. Samuels, either didn't play or was banged up, right? So he got banged up last week. 5 targets last week, 4 targets week 3, 8 targets week 2. The only game he was really bad in that Samuels didn't play was week 1, or Samuel didn't play was week 1. So he didn't do anything week 3, but the volume was kind of there for, right? If I get 4 to 6 targets out of Humphries, like if he did what he did last week, if he goes 3 for 73, or if he can go like 4 for 45, 4 for 50, give me 9 or 10 points. I mean, I'll take 10 points out of Humphries. I need 10.2 to hit value. I'll take what we've got here. I'll take 10. I'll take 12, 11, 9, something. I just want to get him in there because I think, Kelsey and Adams and Eckler and Henderson just have such upside. So, again, I mean, if we look at this lineup here, where am I hoping for it? We're at $3,400, so it's got to be 3,400 or less of value over them. So where could some value open up? Let's say Deshaun Jackson, we're ruled out, maybe Van Jefferson, but I'm playing Henderson. The other guy I'm going to consider here, and I didn't think about this, and maybe we can put him in there, is Rashad Bateman. Maybe you put Rashad Bateman in. He's been active, pulled off injured reserve. Duvernay and Prochet, they talked about it down here, are getting some work, but they want to use Bateman for a reason. So maybe, just spitballing here, and this is the kind of thing that's going to make me think about, because I'm not completely locked in on this last position in cash. So maybe we run Bateman instead of Humphries. That gets rid of one of the one of the stack elements here. And then I don't have to run the Lions defense. Then I can sit there, though I don't love Herbert either, but I just think he's going to be chalk. But now I've got a few more options. I can run the Chargers, the Giants, I don't love those guys. I'll just run the Texans here and give myself $300 worth of, leverage or maneuverability. I could go up to Daryl Williams, but then I'm stacking Kansas City. See, it's never just a 1v1. I would love to run Devonte Williams, but he's 5,000. That gives me a late game player. Plus, again, Herbert is going to be chalk. I don't want to mess with that chalk, So I'm kind of looking here at what else can be done. So now, having Bateman in there would be great. So maybe I put Bateman in my cash lineup. I kind of dig that, though we have no idea who's going to be used. But again, Humphries, even if he has the volume, how great's the volume going to be? We're not using Duvernay. We're not using Guyton. Chris Conley has just done, he's had that one good game. Right? 4 targets last week, but I can't trust that's going to continue. Same thing with Chris Moore, who we're going to see down the list. Can't use Demarcus Robinson, Anthony Miller, no. Pringle, no. John Ross is not useful. Kendall Hinton could be interesting if Sutton or Patrick were out, but he's not. He has 3 targets each of the last 2 weeks. He hasn't done a ton with it. I do kind of like Kendall Hinton. Like, there's something about Kendall Hinton that really works for me. But not in cash. I can't run in cash. And so then where do we find the money? Where do we find the player? Who could possibly pop out? So really, to me, I don't know. Is Nico Collins back alive and playing? Like, he was hurt for a while. 1 target. No, hasn't even played. It was active off injured reserve. Okay, so he's back off of injured reserve. Can I trust Nico Collins? Well, I don't know. If I could trust Rashad Bateman, can I trust Nico Collins? Maybe. But Bateman, I think, will have a bigger role in the offense and is surely playing with a much better quarterback. So I don't know. Where else do we find the plays? That's what I'm looking for. And I'm not saying it to be flippant. Like, if y'all got a better idea of where we can go with cash, if we're not comfortable there with Rashad Bateman, there's no guarantee. Miles Boykin came back last week. Prochet has had some targets. He's been fine. So where do we get that value from? Where can I find that last? So it's Humphries and I guess Zay Jones has been getting some work, but again, do we trust in Denver here? Yeah, two targets for Zay Jones? I don't know. And I don't, then that would require me coming off of someone like, I ought to come off of Adams or someone else. I don't really want to do that. I like Devonte Williams. See, this is where I can talk myself into stuff. This is where Gutta is important because he keeps me from talking myself into things. But like, if Melvin Gordon were to be out, though I think I don't know what the latest word is. It's a late game. But if he was going to try to play, see, it looks like he's going to try to play because Devonte Williams could come in handy. But again, do we trust him? Not really. Now, this could be a cash lineup where we go back, we do Humphrey and we just take the quote unquote safer play. I don't know, man. Bateman's intriguing to me. Forgot about him. Very intriguing play, but is it a cash play? Come on, James Robinson. Sorry, guys, I'm watching the game too, and got James Robinson down to like the 1. I don't know. He got into me. Maybe I'm just saying that because I have him in my home league. Oh, he fumbled. That's not good. He definitely did not get in. We are 1 minute away from inactives. So I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think for cash? How do you feel about Bateman versus Heineke? Not Heineke. Versus Humphries. See, look at me. I'm so focused on James Robinson. Yeah, J-Rob. Boom. Touchdown. All right. Let's see if any inactives have started coming out. No, I think we're a minute or 2 away. Okay. Very excited for these inactives. I don't know. I just have a weird feeling a surprise inactive is coming today. I feel like a surprise inactive is coming somewhere, somehow. I don't know who it's going to be. Let's look and see. It is 11:30, so inactive should be coming. And then we're gonna run up some. We'll talk some tournaments. Maybe we'll pull up some prize picks. We'll do some prize picks. Y'all should definitely be doing prize picks, DFS. Let's pull that up. We'll pull up some prize picks after this. What's inactives? Talk about the team. We'll put something together there. Should be doing underdog too. Promo code PHISIGGERS, PHISIGGERS. Let's see. Matt wants to know Adams, Humphries, Lions, Chase, Pittman, Texans. I mean, I'm on Adams, Humphries, Lions. That's my lineup. I think Sean might go the other direction, but I'm definitely on Adams, Humphries, Lions because Pittman's fine and he's really good. The defenses don't matter to me, and I think Chase has got the upside. He's got tons of upside, but I think Adams and cash is the way to go this week. Find I'm much happier when I have Adams in my cash lineup. Then again, it didn't work out last week, so who knows? But I think Adams is the way to go. I'm feeling Adams is the way to go. Just waiting on these inactives. Let's see. Detroit inactives. Nobody of note. Trinity Benson. If you were using Trinity Benson, I'm so sorry. I love Trinity Benson, but I think it's good. It's like the name Trinity. And he was good in the preseason. Houston inactives. Oh no, Deshaun Watson. Didn't see that coming. Bengals. Everyone's playing. Maybe the biggest surprise of the inactives is that there will be no surprise inactives. Hawkinson playing, Swift playing, Jamal Williams playing. So all the guys you want to have play are playing. Rashad Perryman inactive. Damian Williams still on the COVID list. Does not need to be inactive to be on there. He's on the COVID list. Oh, thanks, Matt. Well, as I'm looking up the inactives, Matt wants to point out that hockey rocked last night. It did. I was close last night. I was real close. I had, Edmonton was definitely the way to go. Pittsburgh 2 worked, and then I needed more Grice. I needed a couple better defenders. My defenders didn't really do it for me, and tons of Grice though, and I need more Grice in that. But he worked out really well. Because defenders in hockey are not goalies in hockey are like defense and fantasy. Volume's all you need. Like I want a defense that's going to face a ton of passes, which is why I'm not afraid to use the Lions this week because Burrow's going to drop back a ton. So I wasn't totally afraid to use Houston because I think Indy's going to go back enough and Carson Wentz gets sacked a ton. Goalies in hockey, I don't care if they're going to give a bunch. I mean, I don't want them to go 50 goals. I don't want them to go flurry, but like if you're going to face 40 shots, 35 shots, like that's huge upside. And that's the thing that people seem to forget about fantasy is they want to look at, nothing surprised in Washington, McLaurin active, Gibson active. So, yeah, I just think it's important to understand, like, people get caught up in points allowed and goals allowed and things like that, but really what you want is volume. Yeah, me too, Matt. Matt holds his breath, goalies. I do too, but I think that's part of what, we joke about me being the defense whisperer, but it's really not that. It's me understanding that volume is key. We haven't had that defense in these last couple of weeks because I'm trying to look at defense this week, right? Like, yes, Kansas City's going to drop back a ton, but like Mahomes will get sacked a bunch and he doesn't throw too many interceptions. Chargers will drop back a ton. Like, it's not just about dropbacks because, obviously they're going to drop back a ton, the Chargers, but, Herbert doesn't make a lot of mistakes. I do think that the Chargers defense is in play this week because – and I do have some Chargers defense because Lamar Jackson does run around a lot, which leads to and they do get in the backfield and can force some turnovers. I also think that Baltimore can score 40 this week, but, I don't really worry about that as much. Cleveland defense, I think, makes some sense. There's a little bit of wind in there in Cleveland today, though I'm not particularly concerned about that. They do get in the backfield. Forget the 9-sack game. That was just the Fields. But again, Kyler Murray runs around a lot. Will take some sacks. Is not, perfect. I like the Panthers defense a little bit this week. They've been fairly active, and Kirk Cousins is going to drop back plenty. They've had 4 more sacks in 3 games. They don't give up a ton of passing yards, and they've got a really strong defense. So I like the Carolina defense this week. I actually think Patriots might be in play this week a little bit because they do get in the backfield, and Dallas is going to throw the ball. Cowboys defense is in play. I think Mac Jones, they're going to try to run the ball, but they get in the backfield plenty. Their front 7 has been really good this year. 2 or more sacks in 3 games, but they have 2 games with no sacks, but they also turn over the ball a lot. I think the Cardinals defense is in play too. I don't think Cleveland's going to throw a ton, but if they get down in this game, they're going to have to. And the Cardinals are a ball hawking defense, and they've been really good most of the year. So I do think there's something to be said about looking at that volume from cheap defenses and just accepting that people are going to get, they're going to get scored on occasionally. Let's see. T.Y. Hilton is active. Allen Robinson is active. So all the guys for Washington are active, which actually De'Ami Brown being active, DeAndre Carter being active kind of hurts Humphries. But I don't know. Tyson Williams inactive. Interesting. All right. So if Tyson Williams is inactive, I do think Latavius Murray becomes a fairly strong tournament play. Chargers are awful against the run, and everyone's going to be on this Ravens passing game. Murray does not get a ton of work. I mean, his long run of the year is 11 yards. It's disgusting. But I know this is a Gutta play. If you pull up the Chargers, their rush defense is atrocious. 180 or more rushing yards in 3 of the last games they've allowed. And one of them was to Kansas City, who do not run a lot. I get giving up 200 yards to Cleveland. I do, because they run a ton. But like Washington, Kansas City, yikes. Yikes. I think it plays better for Lamar Jackson. I do. But I also think that there is something to be said about Latavius Murray, which makes me a little sick. I don't like the Latavius Murray thing. Joe Mixon, active. Rashad Bateman, active. I don't know, man. I'm going to have to use Bateman in cash and just close my eyes and hold my breath. Let's see. Ryan Nall, Allen Robinson, active. And Nall does not worry me too much. Kadarius Toney, active. That was a little concern there, but it looks like Toney is going to play. Let's see, am I missing anyone? Dalvin Cook, active. So Alexander Mattison, useless. Slayton, Golladay, inactive. Shepard, active. Let's see if there's anyone else I'm missing here. I feel like we've got just about everyone. So it's Le'Veon Bell, Devonta Freeman, and Latavius Murray in the backfield. I mean, I guess Murray's the guy, but like I'm not even playing him in Scott Fishbowl this week. I think I've sat Murray. I just don't trust him. I can't. I think I'm playing Mo Alley Cox above him. I just don't. I don't know. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting game. Watkins inactive, which we knew. I'm not sure. Not sure what's going on here. All right, it looks like I think we got all the actives in it. Mike Williams, active. That was a big one. We knew he'd play. But if he's a little banged up, I still think that plays well for Keenan Allen. Does not look like anyone else. Note, I'm just scrolling one last moment here. Tyreek Hill, active. That was the other one we weren't looking at. The Ravens, I don't know what the Ravens are doing, honestly, with their running back position. Can you play any of them? I don't want to play with them. I don't know, man. It's rough. Larry Roundtree is inactive. Actually, that plays really well for Keenan Allen. Not Keenan. Keep calling Keenan Allen. Austin Eckler, because that means Eckler should get a lot of extra red zone work. Not that he needs more, but Roundtree's not going to go stealing touchdowns from him now, so that matters. All right, I think we're good there. So, was I going to make that? Let's make that. Let's make cash. Let's do this. Let's do what Doug should never, ever do as Humphries goes and puts up 6 touchdowns this week. We're going to go and change the cash lineup because I'm feeling Bateman. Let's put Bateman in the cash lineup. We're going to move up to the go Chargers defense. I don't want to play the Texans, even though I think the Texans are in a good spot. All right. Texans are in a decent spot. Let's see what Texans have done. I want to play them, but they've got not a ton of sacks. They are forcing turnovers. They don't give up a ton of passing yards. They get run all over though. I'm not sure the volume will be there. So some of the plays I want to talk about this week too for GPPs. I've got my favorite one-offs. We're going to put them there. We talked about Hardman or Travis Kelce with Terry McLaurin or Ricky Seals-Jones. I do think J.D. McKissick should be in that list as well. already talked about Jamar Chase with DeAndre Swift. It's Mike Williams is longer in my. I'm not loving this for tournaments because the injury. We're going to move that to Keenan Allen. I think Keenan Allen with and/or Austin Eckler with Marquise Brown and/or Mark Andrews. I love that game for stacking. Again, Jonathan Taylor with Brandon Cooks and/or Mo Alley Cox. I do think Josh Jacobs with Cortland Sutton is in play, though I also think Darren Waller could be in play there. Rondell Moore, Kareem Hunt, I really like. I do think there's something to be said for DeAndre Hopkins as well, because I think he'll have a low roster percentage. And I'm pretty much have at least one of these mini stacks in every lineup that I have. This is where I'm headed with these mini stacks. If you guys want, again, I'm still here for questions. If you have any questions, please make sure to throw them in the chat, because I'm here for that. And so, yeah, I'm really loving, like, the teams that I'm stacking most. I'm stacking Kansas City as my main stack. Washington is a main stack. I think Green Bay is this team, and I'm not running double stack on Green Bay. I mean, you can with Randall Cobb, with Devonte Adams, but I'm running just Adams with Mooney as a run back, with Aaron Rodgers as my quarterback. I think Stafford. I think people are going to be so on Henderson that the Rams passing game makes a lot of sense as a tournament option, and you run Woods up with either Tony or Shepard run back. I love the Cincinnati Detroit game. I've got the Burrow end of it. I've got both sides of this Chargers and Ravens game. I've got stacks with both quarterbacks. I love that game. I have nothing in Minnesota, Carolina, which I think could be a mistake. I may have a little bit of exposure. I've also got nothing with the Dallas, New England game. I maybe have one Ezekiel Elliott lineup, but not a lot there. Not a lot with this Denver game. And then my late game that I'm trying to run a little bit with was the Arizona-Cleveland game, though I don't think I'm using it as my main stack at all. Maybe one Kyler Murray lineup. But mostly I'm sticking to early games for my main lineups. I'm doing the run back with the Arizona-Cleveland game. Excuse me. I do think that there's something to be said for the Minnesota passing game with Chuba Hubbard perhaps as a run back, or with the Minnesota running game with DJ Moore as a run back. Nobody's playing this game. Like, let's build that. You know what? Let's build Minnesota, Carolina. Let's do that so I can enter it before we get off, because I just have none. Which side do we want to roll with this? Let's run with the Carolina side. Run Carolina with, you know what we're going to do? We're going to trust Chuba to get some passing work. And we're going to run it with Jefferson and really underpriced Thielen. I'll get my Houston defense exposure here, potentially. I want my late game. You know what? This will be my one Demetric Felton stack, because we did talk about possibly running Felton. This is not my favorite lineup I've ever run, I'll be honest. That puts me a little, you know what we can do here, since I don't care about defense. I can run a Mo Alley Cox solo here, run Mo Alley naked, and then just run a Washington defense and hope that Mahomes doesn't kill him. I do not like this lineup. We're not running that. I don't like it. I'm not going to run a lineup just to run a lineup. That's another thing. If you build a lineup, you're like, oh, I got an exposure to that game, but then you don't like the lineup you built, don't enter it. Why do that? Why enter a lineup that we're not comfortable with? You know what I mean? Like, that's just foolish to do. So run over to Prize Picks. Prize Picks DFS. Do not forget, with Prize DFS, you can get a 100% deposit bonus to $100 using the promo code BANGER. It is essentially building a prop bet parlay card. That's all you're doing. Prop bet parlay card. Player props, which we all love player props. Take your fantasy knowledge, and it's what it is. It's a fantasy lineup you're running. And let's take a look and see what's going down here with the NFL. And as you can see up at the top of the screen, it's not just NFL. You could do gaming, disc golf, NBA, WNBA, tennis, NASCAR, MLB postseason, LA pitchers, NBA, PGA, defense. Ooh, this plays into the thing Doug loves. We're doing team defense or individual player stacks. Individual player stacks. That is wild. That's a wild thing that we can do. I've never done the defense. I don't know, you're basically saying, are they going to get a sack or not get a sack, huh? Let's see. Is Myles Garrett going to get a sack? Yeah, Myles Garrett's going to get a sack today. Is Bosa going to get a sack today? Yeah, Bosa's going to get a sack today. We'll say over on both of them. Let's see. Is Double X? Oh, yeah, Double X is going to get a sack today for sure. What about, I don't run Aaron Donald. Danielle Hunter? Yeah, Danielle Hunter's going to get a sack. So you just say basically yes or no. And the reason they have is 0.75 because if they get credited with half a sack, obviously you're going to lose there. Fantasy score for defense? Shut up. Oh, fantasy. You can run a whole team. Kind of digging that. Where is the scoring chart for defense? Let's do the defensive scoring chart. What do you get points for? A point for a sack, 2 for interception. We start losing points. 20-34. All right. So are the Rams going to give up a ton of points to the Giants? That's interesting. What other defense do I like? Panthers defense. Kirk Cousins does tend to make mistakes, doesn't he? Cowboys defense is interesting. Oh my goodness, you can run kickers. I can't even do that. That's too exciting. Let's run the Panthers defense. Let's say the defense gets over 6 points. I like it. All right. So here's the thing. I've got these 5 players. I say Myles Garrett's going to get over 0.75 sacks. Joey Bosa's going to get over 0.75. Crosby over 0.75. Danielle Hunter over 0.75. And the Panthers will score over 6 because I do not like to bet unders. I think overs are way more fun. You do not have to hit 5 out of 5 to win. If I hit 4 out of 5, I get 2x my money. If I get all 5, I get 10x my money. If I get 3 right, I get 40% of my money back. Run that for 5 smackaroos. $50 if I win. That's a lot of fun. Promo code Bankster. Promo code Bankster gets you a % deposit bonus up to $100. Yummy. Let's some underdog. Let's see what's going on. Let's see what's going on underdog. GGERS. Promo code Stickers gets you $10 free at Underdog Fantasy. We can get Underdog to load up. Underdog might not want to load up. Everything runs slow on this computer. Silly Underdog doesn't want to line up. All right. We'll do Underdog that time. We'll do a video this week with Underdog. I did it last week. It was a lot of fun. Underdog's cool because you can do snake drafts for every single week, pick'ems, head-to-heads, all sorts of fun stuff. Prop bets, a lot of fun on Underdog as well. Tons of best ball, too. We got the season-long best ball for, I think they're doing the half-season best ball now for NFL, and got the NBA best ball, NHL daily, all sorts of good stuff. All right, let's build one of those. Let's build another lineup. Let's talk about what lineup do we want to build? Let's build Green Bay stack. Let's build a Green Bay stack since I think Green Bay is going to go under owned today. Obviously, start with your main stack. I'll throw Randall Cobb in there as well, and we're going to run it back with Darnell Mooney, not Allen Robinson. Field just seems to like Darnell Mooney a lot more. We'll throw that Houston defense in there because I'm going to get that exposure, and they're cheap. Now, this should give me some room to run. We're going to actually pull the Houston defense because I just said we're going to run them, but I do want to run my favorite stack today, or one of my favorite run back stacks, which is Jonathan Taylor and Brandon Cooks. We're actually going to run that as well with Mo Alley Cox. We're going to get 3 players in that game, and that should give me enough for a one-off. I'll run the Cardinals defense there, and I've got $7,400 as a one-off. I could end up going Aaron Jones with my Devonte Adams and not run Randall Cobb. And that gives a little bit something else that we could do with our, let's see what we'll run. Brandon Cooks is our wide receiver. And so that leaves me how much? $4,000, exactly $4,000. So maybe this is the one where we run the Demetric Felton, right? We take the Cardinals out and we go the other side, and we do the Browns defense, right? We hope that Kyler Murray runs around, and we won off Demetric Felton. And this is our, we get 10 lineups, you get one shot. You want one Demetric Felton. If you 10 or more lineups, you're still overweight on the field. You're still running ahead on the field. And if he does anything, you're in real good shape here. And you've got your late game exposure, and you're stacking him with the Cleveland defense. Heaven forbid, someone happened to Kareem Hunt. and then Demetric Felton gets a lot more running work, and the running backs, the Browns go up. There, you like to stack running backs with defenses, so we can take a peek there, and there's a way that we can put a stack together. This will be a fairly low roster stack here, especially if you're stacking a quarterback with a running back and a receiver from the same team. And then you're doing a double stack on the Indianapolis game with your Houston run back. That can be fun. It'll definitely be low rostered. Definitely something we're going to want to do. I'm going to throw that in there right now. Do that. Trying to get Fanduel to load up. Take a look at my cash lineup over on Fanduel. And I'm not really changing in terms of my, even though the prices are a little different, I'm not changing who I'm running as mini stacks in tournaments. I'm just going to find ways to make them fit. If one's a little bit more expensive, I'll run it with a different main stack. I'm going to make that work. We're definitely going to, just kind of run the same pool of players because that's what we're looking for, right? We want the players. They're going to provide leverage and give you the points and the upside that we're looking for in tournaments. Let's see if I get rid of DraftKings here. Perhaps FanDuel will run quicker. That is one of the downsides of owning an old-ass computer. Let's go FanDuel. My FanDuel lineup is pretty similar to my DraftKings lineup. I'm pretty sure I've got let's find out where my lineup is. Let's look at that cash lineup. So actually, if you were able to see real quick, I have one little difference in this lineup, and we may move that around as well, depending. I haven't locked this completely. It's one of the reasons I like to end this. We used to end the stream right before kickoff, and now we ended an hour early. Couple of reasons. One, I like to make my lineups, and I want to make sure my lineups are tight. But also, we go to my Slack chat and we can talk to you guys as well. But I like to make sure I have time to run my lineup. So we still got Heineke, Eckler, Henderson, Herbert. We still got Kelsey, St. Brown, Devonte Adams. The only difference is this lineup has Michael Pittman and the Bears defense. Do not care for Bears defense, but they do get some sacks. I don't know why I picked the Bears defense. Perhaps I misclicked. Perhaps I needed to save money. I want to run Houston. Oh, that's what it was. I didn't want to run Houston against a wide receiver, but I'm not 100% locked in on Michael Pittman there. I do think he's got a ton of upside or a ton of floor. A nice floor. And at $5,800, I think he's very underpriced. But you can also run Hunter Renfrow there. Rondell Moore is okay. He's running far more routes than he used to. And as we go down, there's really just not a lot of options. I don't have to go down. See, the thing here is I don't have to go down to an Adam Humphries type player. And that's what's, or Rashad Bateman, right? And I've already spent down. St. Brown's actually cheaper. So Pittman's actually a spend up kind of a guy for me. So you got Pittman at 5, or Humphries at 5. Bateman's probably sitting at 45 is my guess. But then what am I going to improve? Let's take a look and see. What can I improve if I run Bateman? What's Bateman more? Bateman's 5. So I save $800, right? So let's say I run Bateman at 5 instead of Pittman. And then I can go and flip my defense down to Houston, right? Because I'm not running it against my guy. So that leaves me with an extra $900 to play with. And so maybe I don't want Khalil Herbert at that point. Maybe I can go up a little bit at my flex position from Khalil Herbert, who I'm not overly comfortable with, right? The percentage is there, but I'm not overly comfortable with Khalil Herbert. Is there a guy that I can run here? I like running backs. I prefer running backs at this position. So we're at $6,400. I could run Mark Andrews, no, wait, I'm not going to stack. So there's just not a running back to be comfortable with at this point. Devonte Booker. Is Devonte Booker going to be that much better than Khalil Herbert? Maybe. But that still leaves me with $500. I suppose I could spend up on defense. But I think I'm better with Michael Pittman. better with Michael Pittman at this position and Khalil Herbert. So we're just gonna call that there. All right, guys, it is approaching that 12 o'clock hour. So we're going to wrap this bad boy up. This is or has been the Bankster DFS live before lock. BanksterDFS.com, $3.99 a week. Get you access to everything that we do. All sports, major sports, college sports, niche sports, daily player pools, articles, Slack chat, live streams with the entire team. Hockey in full swing, NBA coming on Wednesday, 4 to 5 to 6 sometimes. College football pools, Troy and Brandon are killing it. Soccer pools, everything. We got it all. $4 a week. Can't beat it. Thank you for taking the time to come hang out. As I see a quick note in the chat box. Thank you, Matt. Good luck to you today, too, buddy. Thank you for spending the time with us and enjoying the solo show. Folks, thank you so much. We'll be back next week, 10:30 with Gutta, who will help keep this guy in check. Sean and I will be live streaming for Bankster DFS members tomorrow on our Facebook page. We're going to be talking hockey strategy. I'm going to have a first look video for Week 7 cash tomorrow on our YouTube page. Like, share, subscribe, click the notification icon. $3.99 a week, BanksterDFS.com.